Good evening. Coming up tonight, we'll fill you in on what's happening in and outside the Palmetto State.
Stay tuned to see the rough loss the Gamecocks suffered on Saturday.
And finally, SGTV News 4's latest story on the university's housing changes for first-year students.
We will have all that and more tonight on Monday Night Mashup.
Welcome to this week's Monday Night Mashup. I'm Jenna Falconite.
And I'm Clarissa Meier. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hurricane Fiona slammed Puerto Rico on Sunday afternoon, knocking out the island's energy grid and leaving over 3 million people without electricity. With winds reading 85 miles per hour, Fiona unleashed landslides and heavy winds, ripping the roofs off of homes. Of the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season, Hurricane Fiona is the third to become a Category 3 or higher. More than 2,000 residents are currently in shelters because of the damage. President Biden on Sunday approved an emergency declaration for Puerto Rico, leading federal agencies to arrange relief efforts. 30 inches of rain fell on certain places in Puerto Rico, proving it to be a difficult recovery process going into the future. The rain alone led the National Weather Service to call Hurricane Fiona, quote, life-threatening, end quote.
The U.S. and the Holocaust PBS documentary had an early showing on Wednesday prior to its official release, brought to the USC by the executive director of the Anne Frank Center, Doyle Stevick. The three-part series explores the years leading up to World War II and the United States' part in Jewish liberation. Following the premiere, a discussion panel took place with the main interest of fighting against the spread of misinformation and disinterest surrounding the Holocaust. The documentary showing was co-directed by Lynn Novick and Sarah Botstein and organized in collaboration with the South Carolina Council on the Holocaust and South Carolina Education Television. The showing acted as an educational outlet for the USC community and to foster inclusivity among Jewish students on campus. I'm so glad that USC continues to strive to be more inclusive with all the students that are here on campus.
Absolutely. The Holocaust was such an important historical event, so it's great that USC is providing this opportunity for all students to learn more about it.
Yes, personally, I will definitely be checking out the Anne Frank Museum.
Definitely. That's all for national and local news, but SGTV sports anchor Tyler Perrone has the weekend update for all things Gamecock athletics. Tyler?
Bad news for Gamecock fans on the gridiron this weekend. Coming off of a 2-touchdown loss at Arkansas, the South Carolina football team returned home to face Georgia. But the Gamecocks were no match for the top-ranked Bulldogs, losing 48-7 and being outgained by 241 yards on offense. Georgia's Stetson Bennett threw for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns, while the Bulldog defense intercepted Gamecock quarterbacks 3 times. If there was one silver lining for the Gamecocks, and there probably was just one, it was Luke Doty's touchdown pass in the final minute of the game, which marked the first touchdown scored on the Georgia defense all season. Coming up, meteorologist Nicole Smith will share this week's weather forecast. Stay tuned.
And welcome back to Monday Night Mashup. I'm your host, Nicole Smith. Today's temperatures are around 66 degrees and we are looking forward to clear skies. The sunset will be around 7:24 p.m. so if you and your friends wanted to catch it, I would get there around 7:20 just so you don't miss anything. And now on to weather. The highest is 89 today, but the lowest tonight should be 66 degrees. And it is going to get a little hot through the week, but we should see relief around Friday when it goes back down to 80 degrees and you'll have a nice and hot and cool on Saturday for the game. And that's all we have for you for the news. After the break, we'll catch you up on everything related to Student Gamecock Television.
Next up, SGTV News 4 reporter Riley Hackett dove deep into how the university is putting freshmen in a tight spot when it comes to housing.
Over 9,000 new students joined the U of SC family this fall, including over 6,200 freshmen. As the class of 2026 selected their housing for the year, some students were shocked by the university's accommodations. U of SC housing added bunk beds to several one-person rooms in residence halls. In buildings like East Quad and South Quad, students must share a one-person room and bathroom with a roommate. Sophia Matos is a freshman living in a bunk bed room in East Quad.
Would have preferred getting my own room, and the room that they do give us is like, I'm pretty sure 117 square feet. So it's like a decent size for one person, but for two people it can definitely get a little bit crowded.
A resident mentor in South Quad says that doubling up dorm rooms has had a big effect on the RMs in those buildings.
I have doubled the amount of residents I had last year. I love all of my residents, but it's just really hard to accommodate to each of their personal needs and then also my own.
The RMs in these residence halls were not told why or how the university chose to repurpose one-person rooms as two-person rooms. The bunk bed situation has made RMs' jobs harder, but the RM we spoke to was more worried about her residents.
And a big thing for me is like, you can't even study in your own personal space, like, because those desks are put out in the living room.
Despite the frustration and discomfort surrounding the bunk bed situation, some residents, like Sophia Matos, are determined to look on the bright side.
But we've also made the best out of it. Like, we've decorated how we want. It's like very cozy and stuff like that. Like, we're being very optimistic about it.
The university has not announced whether the students in doubled up dorm rooms will be staying there until the end of the school year. RHA has told RMs that residents can apply to switch rooms, but the RM we spoke to says the lack of available rooms will make that difficult. For SGTV News 4, I'm Riley Hackett.
You know, Clarissa, obviously this is not an ideal situation for housing, but I'm glad to see that some students are making the best of it.
Yes, I do know that it can be really difficult, especially having that loss of personal space. I know that having your desk out in the kitchen has got to be hard, and it's just not what you really wanted ideally. So.
Absolutely. Hopefully they can figure something out for next semester.
Yes.
That wraps tonight's edition of Monday Night Mashup.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SGTV at USC.
To keep up with all of our content, be sure to also visit us online at sgtvonline.com and sign up for our newsletter, SGTV Recap. For SGTV News 4, I'm Jenna Falconite.
And I'm Clarissa Meier. Have a great night, Carolina.